we do that, with our data, we back it up daily. So, basically if somebody were to totally, or like a meltdown, right? Maybe the fire starts at the place that the server's hosted at, like, let alone, all the different instances that you reviewed, or the possibilities out there for a cyber breach. The backup is huge, right? Because then I'm never more than like, if I have to rebuild 24 hours of records, that sucks.
That's not bad.
And it's a pain in the butt. But if I have to rebuild years of records, my goodness, that's terrible.
MFA is an authentication method that requires a user to provide 2 or more pieces of information. So I'm sure some of us already have this on. So instead of, once you put in your username and password, you may be prompted for a 6-digit code that's either texted to you or sent to your email. And then once you put in the code in, then you're allowed to go into your account. So this is very easily implemented, mostly free of charge, just by downloading an app and using an authenticator app. MFA prevents up to 99% of attacks. Like, that is a very, very big number.
This episode of the Insurance Stream podcast is sponsored by Viva Virtual Assistants. With Viva, you can save over 60% of the cost of hiring a full-time employee. Not to mention, employees are impossible to find right now. Viva makes the whole process easy and affordable with college-educated, bilingual virtual assistants that operate in the convenient central time zone. Go to vivavs.com and see why hundreds of insurance agencies across the United States have chosen Viva for their administrative staffing needs. Again, that's vivavs.com. Today we are discussing cyber liability. We are discussing keeping your agency and customer information safe. This is a huge topic right now, obviously. And we're also going to be going over best practices to minimize any cyber liability exposure for your insurance agency. We're going to go over some stuff on document collection and storage. And then the big thing is cyber liability product information. Through insurance professionals, we do offer cyber liability coverage through Cowbell. Actually, they're our partners presenting this right now exclusively through Cowbell. Actually, I take that back. I think some of our carriers have like riders that go on for cyber liability. I think Bimbola is going to go over some of the stuff that makes your guys' policy different. But, we wanted this to be really a training that is all encompassing, that goes over, not only what cyber liability is and why you probably need it for your agency, your customers, a lot of them definitely need it. And really it's an E&O exposure if we're not at least presenting these quotes to our clients, right? Because if we have a client that, like most businesses here in 2022 is based online, and you don't at least offer cyber liability and then document that in your agency management system, ultimately you're really opening yourself up for an E&O claim, because then a big claim happens, big data breach happens, whatever. And it's like, well, my insurance agent, Bob or Jane or whoever, I didn't even know this coverage existed. Some attorney out there can grab onto that and kind of go to town on you. And you don't want that to happen. So we're going to go over the actual product information, as well as everything that you need to know about, keeping your agency safe as far as your cyber liability goes. So with that, I think Bimbola is going to take over. We'll probably have some more people from Cowbell hopping in at some point in time, it sounds like. Bimbola, thank you so much for agreeing to do this with us today. We really appreciate it. And I will give you the floor from here.
Awesome. Thank you, Abe. And thank you, everyone, for joining us here today and for also choosing Cowbell as, I guess, one of your carriers. So I'm Bimbola. I'm on the agency marketing team here at Cowbell. And I come with over 6 years of experience in the insurance industry as a broker like you, and also as an account manager. My primary focus here at Cowbell is in creating educational materials around cyber insurance for brokers and policyholders, and making such a normally complex content like this easily digestible for everyone. So if you do see me looking away or looking to the side, I do have two screens right here and I'm navigating between both. This is our quick outline. We're going to be discussing cyber insurance, its relevance, policy coverages, some common myths, and while we're doing that, we'll talk about ransomware and in there, cowbell as well, what our key differentiators in the market are, and some general best practices for everyone and also specifically for insurance brokers. So right off the bat, we do have some stats. So cyber attacks are painful problems that are not going away anytime soon. So a common misconception is that small businesses or a mom and pop shop isn't susceptible to a cyber incident, or you don't need cyber insurance because you're too small or you don't use a lot of technology. In fact, in the United States, there are about every 19 seconds, there is a cyber attack on a small or medium enterprise. And 90% of these cybersecurity breaches are caused by human error. And the annual cost in 2022 for a small and medium business to recover is 2.2 million. So this is just the foundation of what we're going to be talking about today, showing why this coverage is relevant and how it affects everyone. Before we go into cyber insurance, we need to understand what a data breach is. So a data breach is a malicious entry into your network system by a bad actor that puts your confidential data at risk of being stolen or held for ransom. So cyber insurance is all about protecting this valuable and sensitive data. And the data in question could be your social security number, passport information, your passwords, your credit card information, or any intellectual property that you or your organization may hold on to. So cyber insurance, in a nutshell, now that we understand what a data breach is basically a professional or business liability product designed to support and protect insureds in the event of a data breach. So it's intended to protect businesses from these sorts of risks, and the financial protection that the cyber insurance policy offers is categorized into three portions. So it's first-party loss, first-party expenses, and third-party liability. And I cannot say this enough, every business, no matter its size, should have a cyber insurance policy. Right before I go into each of the coverages, I'm going to talk about standalone cyber. I'm sure we all know about a BOP policy. A common misconception is that a BOP policy is sufficient coverage. All you need is just the cyber endorsement and you're good to go. But that is not correct. So just having a business owner's policy could have the client have a limited coverage. And a lot of the time, you wouldn't even know how much or how limited the coverage is until a claim or a cyber incident happens. So I did a comparison with the BOP policy and the Carbell standalone policies. We do offer first and third party coverages and covered this coverage gaps in like cybercrime, ransomware, business interruption. And by having a standalone policy, you do have a wider range of limits and deductible. So having a standalone policy does fill a lot of coverage gaps. And we do recommend that agents do what's best for your client by providing them a more comprehensive and tailored policy. And that is why we do recommend a standalone cyber policy. Going into the coverages, we're going to talk about first party loss first. So simply, first party loss is coverage for the loss or damage sustained by the insured. For simplicity, we have it broken down into cybercrime and business interruption. So cybercrime could take so many forms, and the bullets we have right here are some of the forms you could take. So it could be phishing, which is, I'm sure most of us could recognize, or I hope most of us could recognize a phishing attempt. So this is an attempt to get you to reveal your personal information by sending a fraudulent email demanding urgent action. I'm sure we've seen like email saying you're locked out of your Netflix account or you're locked out of your bank account. Click here to update your bank information, or something that just demands an urgent action from you. Please take a second to look at the email, verify who's coming from, check for any spelling errors. Any reputable company will not make a spelling error in an email they send to you. So that is a phishing attempt. Also, we have social engineering. So this is basically manipulating a person to give up personal information, and that usually comes in form of invoice or wire fraud. Another form is ransomware. So this is when data or files are encrypted for a ransom. So this is a portion of how first-party loss responds in the time of a claim. Another part of first-party loss is business interruption. So should a cyber incident cause a shutdown or disruption of your regular business operations, the policy will be triggered and cover the insured for that. So depending on how broad the policy is, there are other coverages that fall under first-party loss, but for simplicity, I did shorten it this way. Other coverages could be like bricking, which is the cost of replacing damaged computer systems, or data restoration costs to replace, restore, or create or recreate any lost data. Next, we have first-party expenses. So simply put, is coverage for expenses required to return to normal operations. So the insured is hit by a cyber attack. Half the time, there are so many things that need to be done even after the situation is resolved in order to get back to normal operations. So all these costs are in the hopes of mitigating the damage to the insured. This part of the policy will respond to deploy like a forensic team to investigate the incident, establish the scope. Same for an incident response team. Any costs associated with reputational damage after a cyber breach. This could include hiring a PR team. And also first-party expenses. This is where the extortion payment or the ransom payment actually comes out from. So this is really good to have a broad coverage here. And then third, we have third-party liability. So keep in mind, when a cyber breach happens, it's not an isolated event. There are a lot of vendors or clients or any organizations associated with the insured are likely to be impacted. And leaking of their sensitive or personal data could potentially result in legal action being taken against you, which is you being the victim or the policyholder. And it's ridiculous to think, but it happens a lot. You could get sued by your vendors, your clients, or even get fined by your regulatory bodies just by being involved in a data breach. So I do have an example on here about a cloud service provider falls victim to a data breach, and one of their clients was a construction company. So a construction company was obligated to notify all their clients about the data breach, all the clients whose data was involved. And we do have a breakdown of the estimated cost. They had to pay for the investigation of the incident, to notify the customers and getting a hiring team, as well as the cost for a legal settlement. And all of that got up to $863,000 in total, just for a third party that was affected by a data breach. Like, the cost is piling up every year, year over year, and the best thing to do is to have a policy as a financial net to fall into. So what you look for in a cyber insurance policy, you want something that's clear and easy to understand, easy to process, a policy that offers industry customization, because some industries are more volatile than most, depending on the type of data that they do hold, namely like the healthcare industry or financial institutions. They do have more information than most. Another thing to look for in your cyber policy is transparency with how the risk is being assessed, and also some value-added services provided by the insurer. Here at Cabo, we do offer cyber awareness training for all our policyholders. We give 20 seats for their employees through our security partner, Wiser. Next, we're gonna go into some myths that you may or may not have heard about.
So, real quick, Bimbola, one of the questions I had is, and I don't know if you know the answer to this, but give you a little chance to plug Cowbell here, because there are policies out there from other, mainline carriers, whereas like part of the BOP or something like that, you get like a cyber liability rider on it, right?
Mhm.
What's the difference between like a little rider that goes on to a BOP policy and then like a full policy that Cowbell offers?
Yeah, so that's kind of what I explained in the first. So the rider doesn't really cover broad. It's not a broad coverage. It's very limited, and it doesn't necessarily say what kind of coverage. Are you covering first party or are you covering third party? It doesn't necessarily say. So I could be a target of a cyber attack, and sure, the policy could cover me, but what about all the other people that are being affected by me and then are suing me? So I need my policy to also respond for all this. And also with the rider, they don't necessarily specify how much coverage you have or how much limits. I doubt that you have a rider that goes as far as 5 million in coverage, right? So, and all this depends on the amount of revenue that the company is bringing in, of course, but you want to at least match your cyber insurance to the amount, to your revenue in the case of a claim. So those are the gaps that I feel, or we feel, that what policies have.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. So we're just gonna talk about a few myths here. First of all, we've probably already gone into this. I'm a small business. I don't need insurance because I'm not a target. In reality, 60% of attacks are on small and medium businesses. They are easy target for bad actors because of the probability of them not having any IT resources or a dedicated team that is securing them online. So please advise your clients accordingly. Next is cyber insurance alone is enough to prevent attacks. Like, we would love to preach this, get a policy and you're covered, but that is not the truth. Cyber insurance does not cover all. Yes, we can protect you, but that's after the damage is already done. The best way to protect yourself is through awareness. We need to get more people trained on what to look for, how to spot a phishing attempt, how not to fall into these traps that these bad actors set for everyone. And like the start in the beginning said, 95% of cyber breaches are caused by human error. So just by having an educational portion, we could eradicate a lot of these breaches. And third myth, cyber insurance is not worth the cost. I'd rather get a rider and I'm protected that way, or I'm protected as part of my, PNC policy. Some people believe that that falls under the CGL, but it's not true. Cyber insurance is worth the cost. At Cowbell, in January, we did conduct a survey with about 186 of our policyholders. And our survey indicated that 79% of policyholders believe it's worth the cost and the protection it affords. And 65% of small and medium-sized policyholders plan to even spend more on cybersecurity or cybersecurity on insurance over the next 2 years. So as I said in the beginning, it's not something that's getting better anytime soon. Well, at least for now. So just to give you a show of how much it actually costs. So the cost of ransomware, the average cost of ransomware as at 2022 is 2.2 million. So the ransom itself ranges from $570 to $812. And, this depends on the bad actor himself, what they want to demand. They usually just pick a number and run with it. So the average ransom is from 570 to 812,000, and it takes about 1.4 million to recover after that damage is done. So you could pay the ransom and hopefully get your data back, but the cost of recovery or getting back to normal after being put out of business for an undisclosed amount of time, it could add up. And that's how we arrive at this total cost. We do have links to our sources if you do require. So just going into that, we're going to briefly touch on ransomware. So ransomware is one of the top forms of cyber attacks. This is very likely what most SMEs deal with when they have a cyber attack. So it's a type of cyber attack that blocks access to your systems and data unless a ransom is paid. So the bad actors will encrypt all your data, encrypt your files. You wouldn't be able to get into any of your usual systems. And all you're going to see is maybe a padlock or a note requesting money. So I have a little flow chart here showing how it usually works. So I'm at work, minding my own business in my emails, and I receive an email seemingly from my boss asking me to send him this information and fill this form on this link and click on this link. And one thing about the bad actors, you could spot it. You just have to be patient and not react quickly to a message. So take some time, look at the sender's address. Is everything spelled correctly? If your boss's name is Jack and they spell it with a Q, you should know that that's not the right Jack, right? So, but this is the mistake that happens a lot. So anyways, you receive the email. I receive the email, I click on the link, and then I'm going about my business. While I'm doing that, the malware downloads into my system and then spreads into my network. So that's every one of my coworkers or anyone that's linked to me in the company is gonna be, affected by this. So as that is happening, the malicious code encrypts all the files and data across the network. And sooner or later, someone's going to receive a message saying, hey, we have your data, we have all this information, and send me X amount of Bitcoin by this date in order to get it back. So this is something we don't want to fall a victim to, but this is how ransomware works. A few stats as well. 82% of ransomware attacks are small businesses. This is a whopping number, and 80% of victims are hit a second time. This is to tell you how there's no code among criminals. You could pay them the money and they come back and steal it all over again. So just to watch out for that. 47 of businesses that are hit by ransomware attacks have less than 50 employees and therefore no security resources. So this is just the reality of what is going on. And just a little overview showing you a pie chart showing how ransomware is affected by company size. So as you can see, 39% of companies that are hit by ransomware have from 11 to 100 employees. That is not a big company. Like, you could still consider that a mom and pop shop with just 11 or even 50 employees. 32% from 101 to 1,000. So it just shows that 72% of the attacks are impacting organizations that have less than 1,000 employees. So no one is safe. Everyone could be a victim of the attack. So we do have to stay strapped. And then here, what are the primary causes of ransomware? According to this chart, we do have it as RDP compromise. So RDP is remote desktop protocol. I don't know, maybe some of us we've had, or some of you have had an IT person, maybe you have some issues with your laptop, and then they take control of your laptop from wherever the IT person is. So I'm sure it's happened. Someone takes control of your laptop, they go into your settings and helps you, fix whatever issue you have. But for RDP compromise, this is what happens. And on the other side is actually a bad actor that takes over your computer and then your network system. The second form or second primary cause of ransomware is email phishing. So cyber criminals will always go after low-hanging fruit. So through emails or sending text with malicious links, They have a high probability of being successful. So these are the primary causes of ransomware, or how ransomware typically enters into network systems. Before I go into the next section, do you have any questions?
So we can look here. Let's see. Somebody says, can we get a link of this recording or copy of the deck presentation? Yes, this will be listed on demand after the training is over. We'll publish it later today on insureprotraining.com. If you go into the insurance professionals webinars, it'll be listed right there. So I'll send you a link to that. If any other questions are, if anybody has any other questions right now, you can ask.
Okay.
I think we're good.
Okay, I could go on to the next. So I guess what I'll do is after every section, I could take a pause and then we could discuss it any further. Okay. So we're going to talk about the cowbell difference. Why cowbell? So we are a leading provider of cyber insurance for small and medium enterprises. And we do this through our simplified application process. Our coverages are easy to understand, and we do provide a lot of educational materials for agents and policyholders alike. So our Prime 100 policy, which is our flagship policy, perfect for first-time policyholders or anyone that's willing to upgrade from a BOP policy. It's 100% online. You have direct access to cyber experts and programs. And our platform is AI driven, and that's how our risk assessment is impacted. So one of our primary differentiators here at Cowbell is our closed loop risk management approach. So we try to be a different type of insurance company, going beyond just risk transfer, and we take an active role in helping policyholders improve their risk. So with our closed loop approach, we assess, insure, improve, and respond in the time of a claim. So we engage with policyholders throughout the life cycle of their policy, and this in turn turns into minimized claims, improve risk profile, and that now helps brokers have a higher service for their clients. So that is a win-win-win. Our platform is quote to issue in 5 minutes, believe it or not. So on our platform, just by inserting the organization name and state, our AI searches our risk pool of over 30 million businesses, and therefore allowing you to quote and bind policies in record time. All applications are done fully online, and the quote to bind process is seamless. Next, we have our cowbell factors. So this is what we call our risk rating system, and this is another one of our differentiators. So cowbell factors are our proprietary risk rating that benchmarks an organization's risk exposure to their industry average. So basically, like I mentioned earlier, you put in the organization name and their state, and our AI searches 30 million accounts, as well as the policyholder in question. And then we benchmark them, we give them a score in comparison to the people in their industry that are there, that will consider their peers. So there are a total of 8 cowbell factors. On the screen, we have some of them on there, like network security, dark intelligence, funds transfer, and even your supply chain management. So the cowbell factors gives you a preview of your vulnerability in each of these factors. So you do have a score for each of the factor, and then you do have an aggregate score for yourself, and then the benchmark score for the industry. So it gives you an idea of where you rank, whether you're doing better than your peers, you're doing the same, or you're doing less than them. So our cowbell factors is how we guide our underwriting risk selection process. And just to note, this is not a score of 0 to 100. The aim is just to have a higher score relative to your industry. So that's what we're looking out for. We're going to talk quickly about our products. So these are our prime products, perfect for small and medium-sized businesses. We do have other extensions to these, but just for simplicity's sake, we're going to talk on, so first it was the Prime 100 policy. So this is best for first-time cyber insurance buyers. We do offer instant quoting and binding, and it's for businesses up to 100 million in revenue. The next one is our Prime 250. So this is from 100 mil to 250 mil in revenue. And we do provide superior protection, deeper risk insights. This is a broader coverage than the Prime 100, and we would say is one of the most robust coverage on the market. Alongside these two policies, we do have an excess cyber insurance policy. It is a follow form policy, and it covers up to 5 million in limits for any cyber insurance policy, and is all subject to underwriting approval. But our Prime 100 policy, though, is 100% online, approved, bind, sealed, signed. We're available nationwide with a very wide appetite. Our revenue threshold is up to 250 mil, and we do have our policies on AM Best papers with a score of A and above. We do have a few ineligible classes like the crypto, cannabis, online gambling, or any politically affiliated organizations. Right now, we're in all 50 states. We're looking for contractors, financial institutions, any medical services, retail, or even hospitality. So our risk engineering services, this is another of our key differentiators. So Cabo proactively engages with policyholders to implement better cybersecurity practices. And our objective is to reduce the frequency and severity of these data breaches. And this is the improve portion of our closed loop risk management approach. So we do have a team of cyber risk experts that interact with our policyholders pre and post bind. They help them with their addressing their subjectivities, if they have any questions on security controls. And we do have a spotlight feature that informs the insurers about any potential breaches that may lead to an accident. So also helping them implement an incident response plan as well, or assess any of their third-party vendors to see if they're secure. So this is a very, very key difference between us and our competitors. We don't just send you off for your policy and wish you good luck. We are here helping you be better risk and also helping ourselves in turn by making sure the claims are mitigated. So the better your risk posture, the less claims severity. So since it's a room full of brokers, we're going to talk about the quote factors for cyber insurance. So these are your underwriting considerations for cyber insurance. Since our platform is done online, all of these are automatically fed into our AI. So you don't need to have all these answers. Our platform has considered all these elements, and our security questions are really, really short on our platform. So what do we consider for cyber insurance? Your service industry. I've mentioned some industries are more volatile than most, depending on the amount of information that they collect. How big is the company? Do you have a cyber insurance claim history? What security controls they have in place already? The policy limits that are required, annual revenue, and the number of records retained or accessible. So these are the things that you should consider when placing a cyber policy. Depending on what carrier you're going towards, these questions would definitely be on the top of the form. So we've come into the industry specific section. So right now we did take into consideration the insurance agents. So these are the pitfalls that agents can fall into. These are how agents could find themselves vulnerable to a cyber incident. So do you or your company, do you store your data on a shared network drive? Do you process fees electronically? And do you allow employees to access your systems on their personal devices? There's a little bit of gray area on the personal device section because a lot of people are still working from home. We get a work laptop and you take it home. So that is a little bit of a gray area, a little bit of a vulnerability in how the firm's systems and data end up in your home. So what are the common cyber risks for insurance agents? ransomware. I've mentioned it before. No one is safe from ransomware, and even after a ransom is paid, they could still delete the data or even still leak the sensitive information. So a lost or stolen laptop or work phone could also be something that could make you vulnerable. Insurance agents, we do have a lot of client information. You have their name, date of birth, a lot of the time payment information, and depending on what kind of policy, maybe it's even a home insurance policy, you could have their social security number. So these are very sensitive data that a stolen laptop or a lost phone could compromise, and it could result in potential lawsuits from the clients. Another thing could be compromised payment information or financial redirection. Same with email phishing, social engineering, and business interruption. These are all pitfalls that agents can find themselves in, just to be aware. My next section is going to be risk engineering or risk mitigation practices. Do we have any questions right now?
It looks like we've got one that says, hello all. So which policy is the best for new agencies just starting out?
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think we went over that a couple slides back, but so would that be the same as the ones you'd recommend for the clients, the new one for the insurance agency?
Yes. So we do recommend a standalone policy, but if you're asking what cowbell policy, I would recommend the Prime 100. So that's perfect for someone that's just starting out with cyber insurance, and it's really easy to understand, easy to quote, easy to bind as well for agents.
Sure. And then just kind of give us an idea. So let's say that we're a small agency. Maybe, we've got, let's say under, I don't know, $100,000 in revenue, right? Agency that's just starting off. What kind, do you know what kind of premium we're looking at on that Prime 100?
Well, it all depends on, like the limits that you do want to go for. Because you do have 100,000 in revenue, you're probably going to be only eligible for maybe a $250 or maybe a $500,000 policy. So those are the considerations. So if you want to add on social engineering coverage, if you want to, put in some extra bells and whistles onto the policy, it could add up, but it's hard to say.
It's hard to say. Okay. So just something you got to go in and you've got to quote and you've got to select the options that you want. And then just see what it comes up at, and then adjust it, right? Like if you don't like the premium, you can always just
exactly. You could always fiddle with it, take coverages out, increase your limit, reduce your limits. Yes.
Do you know what the minimum premium is?
Honestly, it's kind of hard for me to say, but I could tell you that you could be in the range of like $1,000, depending on what limit. Yes, depending on what limits you get.
So under $100 a month.
Yeah.
Cool.
Not bad for the protection you get.
No kidding.
Okay, so we're gonna quickly talk about risk mitigation. So these are the best practices for you, for me, anyone that's interested in. I'm sorry, I went a little bit too far. Here we go. Okay, so best practices. So the best defense against cyber incidents, we always preach is security awareness. You can't beat that. It's the easiest and most cost-effective way to defend yourself. Knowing what to look for, keeping your employees or even your coworkers compliant, that's the best way in this landscape. Other lines of defense are using MFA, system backups, or VPN. So all these ones I have on the chart here, I'm going to go into a little bit more. But other best practices are to use a very strong password and to store sensitive data in a different place than you normally would. So I will go into it a little bit more in the system backup section. So MFA. I'm not sure if everyone knows what MFA is. I hope you do. But MFA is an authentication method that requires a user to provide 2 or more pieces of information. So I'm sure some of us already have this on. So instead of, once you put in your username and password, you may be prompted for a 6-digit code that's either texted to you or sent to your email. And then once you put in the code in, then you're allowed to go into your account. So this is very easily implemented, mostly free of charge, just by downloading an app and using an authenticator app. MFA prevents up to 99% of attacks. Like, that is a very, very big number. Just by adding that second layer of verification, cyber attackers are discouraged, because they do have, like, being honest, they do have the password, they do have the username, but once that second layer of verification is required, then they give up and say, we tried, I guess we can't hack this person. So it's available on most cloud services platform, and it can be enforced really quickly and centrally by your account admins. Next is system patches. So it might sound like a very complicated thing, but system patching is basically updating the software, whatever version you have. If you have an iPhone, or if you have, or maybe you use Adobe, just update it whenever there's a new system. Whenever there's a new update to the system, please update it as quickly as you can. So by keeping your devices up to date, this can help you mitigate some of those losses. A lot of these are what causes cyber incidents. So when new updates are revealed online, let's say Microsoft, they put out a new update, they usually let us know, okay, this is the new update, fixing bugs due to XYZ, blah, blah, blah. So they do list all the pitfalls that the previous updates had. And then bad actors use this information against the people that have it. So this information is available to everyone, knowing what the new updates does or what the previous update didn't have, and they do exploit this information. So please always keep your devices as up to date as possible. So just as a recap, bad actors are constantly scanning the internet looking for older versions of software with security flaws, and they use this to launch an attack. So system backup, this is where the document storage information comes in. So system backup is basically having a backup of your files, your data done. We do recommend that is done on a hard drive and stored in a different location. And funny enough, having a recent backup can take away the necessity of having to pay a ransom. So in the event of a data breach happens or a ransomware happens, the attackers are asking, give us X amount of dollars, or we're not going to give you your files. You could easily, unless it's sensitive data, you don't want them to leak, you could easily decide not to pay the ransom because you have a recent update that was done, last week or hopefully yesterday, that's stored differently, that doesn't affect this. So if they do decide to reveal the information, I read a stat today that only 4% of data is given back after a ransomware attack. And that really shook me to the core. 48% of people pay for the ransom and only 4% get the data back. So by having your system backed up regularly, you could have all your data already stored in a different location, and you could just, get the person out of your system and continue on your day. So we do recommend is done ideally on a daily basis, but a monthly backup is not bad either. At least it's better than having nothing. So here we have an incident response plan. So this is how to be prepared in a time of a crisis. We do recommend that every organization have a plan of action. So it helps you know who who's responsible, and how to respond in case an incident happens. So the diagram we have on there is an example of the incident response plan that we do provide our policyholders here at Cowbell. So this is a template, and the policyholders fill it out as they see fit. So this will define and give detail to the roles and responsibilities, how to handle the breach, who to call, and how to respond. So, and same with the system backups, your incident response plan should always be hosted outside of your system so you can get to it in the case of a breach. So we do recommend having like maybe a third-party storage, or maybe just a safe house with hard drives with your system backups, your incident response plan, just so you can, and somewhere that's easily accessible, just so you have it in case of a breach. Next, we have a VPN. So this is when you can access company data only from the company device and servers. So a lot of companies do implement having a VPN. It's very security beneficial, and avoids using public Wi-Fi directly. You could use public Wi-Fi, but only if you have a VPN, because half the time we do not know who is hosting this Wi-Fi that we're seeing on here that's just open. All these open networks are never secure. Anyone can be on the back end viewing you, viewing your data, viewing your information. And we try to only visit secure website when you're online. So if you go to a website, you should see HTTPS. So the S is what we're looking for. So HTTP secure. Anything other than that is not a secure website, and anyone could be working on the back end, or any form you fill out on the website could be duplicated, and that is how all the dark web and all the bad actors get access to people's data. So implementing a VPN is very important. You can use public Wi-Fi and log into your company system, so that has a layer of security. So once you log into the VPN, your identity and your data is encrypted for everyone else, and it also hides your IP address. And last but certainly not the least, we do a best practice is also to have a cyber insurance policy. Every business, no matter size, should have one, and a standalone policy is a very good financial safety net for victims, and also offers a lot of additional resources for cybersecurity, risk mitigation, and breach services. Just rounding up, I have a couple claim scenarios here for you. Since we've already explored ransomware and the scenarios, I'm gonna go into the data breach. So a data breach example is a thief stole a container holding a daily backup hard drives. So the way I'll see it is, let's say I'm responsible for taking my daily backups from my office to the secure storage site, and I don't have a car, I use a bus, right? So I have the backpack where all the data is, and I'm waiting at the bus stop. Someone took the bag off of me, and then the data is out there. So company will alert the law enforcement about it. The tapes in this scenario includes customer and employee names, social security numbers, contact information, payment information, even employee payroll data. So these is information with hundreds of people affected. So in a data breach situation, the affected individual or the company has to alert everyone that's in question, or who could be affected, and that could run from 400 to 600,000 in cost. So it falls under like a theft, but it is a data breach because of what was in question stolen. Okay. So what should agents do when a cyber incident happens? First, please ensure that policyholders do not engage the attackers or try to resolve this issue on their own. report it to Cowbell or whoever your cyber insurance carrier is. You should ask the policyholder to develop a summary or a timeline of the events that happened. So, who discovered it, what happened, just a summary of what happened, and then also track all costs that may incur with the event. So if you do discover a cyber incident, maybe work starts at 9 a.m. and it's till 11 a.m. That's when you realize that, oh, we can't access everything. So those 4 hours of, figuring out what's going on or not working, or all your suppliers or vendors being at a standstill, that is costs. That's a lot of money that could be lost within that time. So those are the things that policyholders should be tracking as well. Okay, we are in the end right now. If you want to learn more about cyber insurance, as a thank you for attending, I'll be sending Abe a link to our Cyber Insurance for Dummies ebook. It's a small but very comprehensive book that expands on cyber insurance coverages and debunks some common myths. Thank you all for listening today. I hope you learned something new.
Yeah, I definitely did. I think so. Is there a way for you to put that link in the chat there for people to see?
Sure.
Yeah, that would be awesome. So 2 things I walked away with are number 1 is multi-factor authentication. Do it,
Yes.
especially when it comes to your client data. Do it. And then the backup thing. So we do that, with our data, we back it up daily. So, basically if somebody were to totally, or like a meltdown, right? Maybe the fire starts at the place that the server's hosted at, like, let alone, all the different instances that you reviewed, or the possibilities out there for a cyber breach. The backup is huge, right? Because then I'm never more than if I have to rebuild 24 hours of records, that sucks.
That's not bad.
And it's a pain in the butt. But if I have to rebuild years of records, my goodness, that's terrible.
Exactly.
You lost everything at that point. So perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. So there it is, cowbell.insure/forward-dummies. And that is perfect. That's an awesome resource. Get that. It's a perfect companion along with this training. And Bimbola, we thank you so much for your time. Thanks for everybody for attending. And for those of you watching this on the replay, we really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Enjoy your day.
You too. Thanks.